You have casual workout Michelangelo.
Yes,
His workout equipment right here.
he's got middle-aged lady like workout theme going on. So I don't know what they were going for with his like street clothes, but it's a good look. It suits Michelangelo fairly well.
Let's talk about him in just a little bit more detail.
Yeah, let's take a closer look at Michelangelo.
Review!
Alright guys, here we have a closer look at Michelangelo, and I gotta say, he is a ton of fun. Let's start right off and talk about the color scheme. It's the thing that's the most interesting about this figure, and certainly the thing that's most eye-catching. As for paint application, we have a lot of great stuff going on. Michelangelo is more of a lime green versus all of his brothers.
It's the green is so distinct and so pleasant looking. He almost looks edible. Like
yes,
he kind of has
some
a
kind
candy
of candy
vibe going on. Which I like.
As you can see, he's got a really bright orange going on there with the bandana. You can see that one of his chains here is painted, the only one you can really see. There's another one in there that's not painted, but it's kind of more under his chin, so it doesn't really matter. Very impressed by how well the paint came off on the chain. There's just a tiny little bit of slop, but I mean, it's totally understandable for how small it is. As you can see, there's a slight paint indiscrepancy because you have the front shell here is not painted in this little section, but who can blame them? Probably had something to do with the construction of the figure. You have the bandoliers that go around here. They're totally painted. I really like that maybe for the first time, Michelangelo has a double bandolier thing going on. Usually they don't give him that because his nunchuck's usually around the waist. Now here's where things really get interesting in the color department. You've got these pants that he's wearing, these like workout pants that are gray, but he's also got a hoodie tied around there, which is this lighter gray. And then you've got these little paint applications that are actually really clean and really nice. They're just kind of orange streaks. Bandage paint application, you've got really detailed paint going on. These little shoes that clearly he's like found and cut the fronts out of. And look at that. That paint application is glorious. Like, that's really, really nice. That's good stuff. The fronts of the feet are painted, which is something, Playmates would have never done before. That kind of detail. The bandage is painted. Really good stuff. I didn't even talk about the bandaged up hands. Really nice paint application here, and even some silver paint app. These like metal duster knuckles he's got. Turn them around on the back, you can see these straps are a different color than the shell, which is always a very good thing. And on the back, you can see the bandage paint even goes around to the back, which is something Playmates hadn't been doing for the past few years.
Yeah, something they're not even doing on some of the other figures in this line. So.
Yeah, so paint-wise, maybe Michelangelo could be the strongest of the turtles.
He's definitely got the most paint apps, and I think that he comes off the best in terms of color.
Yeah, very impressive. Very, very cool package when you see them all together like that.
All of the actual turtle figures from the line have the same articulation scheme, and it's not perfect, but it's quite a bit. They have a cut and a joint at the shoulder, and a cut and a joint at the elbow. They do not have a cut at the wrist, unfortunately, so it kind of limits the movement. Some of the things they can do with their weapons, but having the cut at the elbow does most of the work for you. And then there's a really good ball joint for all the turtles at the neck, and you can make them look as goofy and head shaking as you want, and the heads actually pop off very easily, and you can swap the heads, and comedy follows, of course. Legs are pretty much the same way. All the figures with hip joints have a really good secure joint that works like a ball joint that you see on like the modern Marvel Legends. But I never really like those very much because I don't think they're very secure. I always worry about them breaking. These give you just about the same amount of movement, and these will never break. These are figures. These give you just about the same amount of movement, and I don't think they'll ever break. These are figures that years from now we're going to be finding at flea markets or Goodwills, and they're going to be in perfectly good shape. So don't worry about that. And there's a joint and a cut at the knee, so there is quite a bit of movement going on. And then again, unfortunately, there is no cut or joint at all at the foot or ankle. So again, most of the way there, you can get them into about any pose you want, and it's very easy for them to use their weapons. There's a couple, the cuts, it just cuts at a cut at the wrist and a joint at the ankle would have made it perfect. But, I can't complain. For a kid's line, it's plenty of articulation.
As for sculpt, I'm really, really fond of Michelangelo. He's got a ton of really interesting sculpted elements. Let's just go ahead and start at the head. This may be perhaps the most puzzling part because he doesn't quite look as jovial as he probably needs to. After seeing the trailer for the new movie, it does look like they're going to be playing Michelangelo for comedy pretty strong. And I guess maybe they're going for sort of a off-kilter smirk here, maybe. But he seems like he's more just either neutral or kind of down about something.
He looks a little too serious. Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe they should have done something there. But it's fine. I like it. It's a quality head sculpt. What's interesting about this is that, as you can see, and I noticed this on some other samples, it's not really noticeable here, but the construction is interesting. Clearly, this is a totally different piece, the bandana, because it's cast in a different plastic. So they start out with this bottom piece, this chin, then they plug in and glue in this piece with the bandana, and then they plug in and glue in like a cap piece that goes over it. So you've got a 3-part head here, which is indicative of the construction of the rest of the sculpt. On the back here, we can see that these are separate sculpted elements. The harness has plugged in to the shell sculpt that they've done. Same thing with the front of the chest. The harness has just plugged in. And then you've got a separate element, once again, with a different type of more rubbery plastic. That's this excellent sculpt for the hoodie that he has wrapped around in 90s style here. So very impressive, the construction going on. Also, the sculpting of the little chain necklace up here is really nice. Sculpting of the front shell, beautiful. Here we've got some really great sculpting with the bandages and the elbow pads, which he actually only has one, which is kind of cool. I like that. It's a little asymmetrical, kind of interesting. Like I said, really tight sculpting here along the bandana. I'll try to get it to focus a little bit more for you guys. Very cool. Then we have some extra sculpting at the pants, these little knee pads, and some of my very favorite sculpting, as I talked about before. You have his toes coming out of these pretty intricately sculpted sneakers with some really nice bandages. So overall, Michelangelo has extremely strong sculpting. The only thing, that I would even change a little bit is I may give him more of a jovial expression, something a little more lighthearted. Other than that, really strong in the sculpt department. Very nice.
Michelangelo comes with 2 accessories. He has his traditional nunchucks or nunchaku or whatever you want to call them. I don't know what the particular or appropriate name is, but we'll just call them nunchucks or chucks. And it's a really good little pair. It's single colored. It would have been good to get a little brown or gray on the handles, but I can't complain. They're actually, there's a little bit of texture to them. They're sculpted. Get a close up there. They're sculpted fairly well. There's little buckles and things, and the rope in between them is textured quite nicely. He can hold it with both hands very well. There's no miniature chain or no actual rope. It's just plastic, but it's very pliable. You can see a little bit of stressing at the ends where they meet the sticks, so you want to be careful for that. These are things that will eventually, wear down and probably snap off, especially if a kid's playing with them and playing kind of rough. But that's what these toys are meant for, is playing with. So you can hold it in both hands, and you get a pretty good range of movement with them. Like I said, they're malleable, but they're not soft. So he can use them fairly well, but not fluidly. They're going to stick. They're not going to hang. You're going to hold in one position if he holds them with one hand. And then he has his 3-part nunchuck. I guess these have a particular name too, but I don't know what it is. And these are all long staffs. 3 of them each connected by a longer rope. And he has no trouble at all holding these because they just stretch out so far. They're really big pieces. So that's pretty cool. His success, Michelangelo is going to come with nunchucks, of course. I'm afraid out of all the turtles, his accessories are probably the plainest. There is a little bit of sculpted detail to them, but not a lot. But they do the trick. I also am not a fan of the single color that they're sculpted in.
Yeah, it looks like
color.
exercise equipment.
Yeah, so it looks like stuff out of the Suzanne Summers catalog.
You'd be much better off actually taking some nunchucks from one of your other Michelangelo figures.
Yeah, take the nunchucks from your Nickelodeon figure, and they'll be even better than this.
Unfortunately, accessories ain't Michelangelo's strength.
No, but he's got so much else going on. You don't even need nunchucks to have fun with him. Now, for the goofiest comparison we're going to make out of this whole movie line is, for some reason, we thought it'd be neat to compare him to fast forward Michelangelo from the tail end of the 2003 series. It makes a certain type of sense. It's kind of a fair comparison because, of course, the fast forward turtles are done up with all these this extra clothing and all these accessories hanging off of them, a lot like the new movie Turtles. So it's interesting to see how they work together. And again, if you've watched our Donatello review, we said it's interesting to look at how much the scale has changed over the years. And in this case, this is from about 7, 8 years ago. And it's actually a good deal taller than the new Michelangelo. Now, Michelangelo, out of the new figures, is actually the shortest. So if this were, say, Raphael, he would be as tall as this old Fast Forward figure. But I do appreciate that these are scaled differently. And that is representative of the film, of course. Just trying to give them a little bit of distinction. But there he is with Fast Forward Michelangelo.
And that was our review of Miserable Old Man Michelangelo.
Yeah, he's a little hunched over and goofy looking.
Seems a little dilapidated, but hey, that's okay. Maybe sculpting with maybe kind of a smile might have been a good idea. I don't know.
Jared, it's just a mask, okay? It's just a mask.
Oh boy. Okay, but yeah, like we said, Michelangelo is a really fun figure. I think I like him slightly more than Brandon. I think he comes together for me just a little bit. So it's really just a matter of personal preference.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. I don't think there's a big...
Yeah.
I think... What would you score him?
I would say Michelangelo's solid 3.5 stars for me.
Yeah, that's where we go.
Yeah.
I think he's on that level.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah, really good figure.
Cool figure. Lots of variety. Lots of paint application, like all the turtles. The construction is complex.
He has a distinct feel. His the tactile sensation of this figure isn't like the other turtles or any of the other.
He's
figures.
very pleasant just to pick up. The plastic feels kind of. It's not really hard. It's more kind of a soft plastic. So.
And his tone of green, his personalized tone of green, I think is my favorite out of the 4.
I would say that out of the 4, he's definitely the one that you've got the most contrast going. So really cool. If you're wanting to delight a child for their birthday, this is the one probably to pick up.
He'll be the fan favorite for the kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, you know what? I know $9 is a pretty good deal, but you know what they say? Wise man says forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for 3.5-star turtle figures.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, actually, $9.
Yeah, you should go ahead and
really
pay full price. Actually, that
good.
was terrible of you to say.
We gotta get a reference in for everybody. All right, that was the best I could do.
Hey, look, it's Don King. All right, guys. So that was Michelangelo. We hope you enjoyed the review.
Check out the rest of our Ninja Turtles reviews if you'd like to. If they're not up now, they'll be up soon.
You betcha.
Thanks again for watching. Take care.
Rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot for your support. Take care,
out
guys.
The rest of our, take care, guys.
Take care, guys.
Check out the rest of our turtle reviews.
I bet that's going to be... No, that didn't work.